Well, welcome to the Valley Hoops Insider podcast, part of the Valley Hoops Insider website. I'm Harry Schroeder, and that good-looking man on the screen with me is our friend Dan Muller, former basketball coach at the Illinois State. And Dan, we've spent a lot of time, a lot of years conversing back and forth about Redbird teams and the Missouri Valley Conference, and it's just a whole new crazy season for you. Appreciate you carving out some time to talk with us today.
Anything for you, Harry. The former part, I'm still getting used to. But obviously, that's where we're at. But always good to be on with you.
I just can't hardly stand it, frankly. Like, here's my problem: is I get invested in some of you guys, and I really start rooting for you and pulling for you, and then things happen, and it's nothing like it is for you and your staff. But I actually feel these things when they happen.
That's what you get for being such a nice guy. That's your fault. And here, I got one dog. He's about to stick his face up. So we're at home here. So get down, buddy. The two dogs, if you bark, and they're right here.
Hey, before we get moving along, I do seriously want to thank you. You over the years, you've just been so accessible and transparent, and been a great friend to our website. So I super appreciate that. I really mean
that. I've said it many times, Harry. What you do for the Valley is awesome. The passion that you have for it, and the way you cover it. You've always been so good to me, but every coach probably feels the same way. So keep doing what you're doing. It's a heck of a league that sometimes doesn't get enough attention, sometimes gets the adequate amount of attention, but you do a great job with it.
Well, you're kind. It's got to be surreal. You said the former part still sounds kind of weird, and it's got to be a bizarre time for you right now. You should be on the road recruiting or scouting or whatever. And so take us through that a little bit. Like, just how are you feeling? What's it like for you?
Well, it is weird. The weird dogs. If you can hear that, I'm gonna.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
You okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. The weirdest part, the most surreal part, certainly was when I watched my team play. The first few games on TV, of course, the last couple games in person, and then, as you said, right now I'm usually on the road. I think I left St. Louis the last 3 or 4 years to go recruiting directly from St. Louis the day after we lost, or even that night a couple times. So it's a time where I'm usually very busy, and now I'm busy with different things. But now that the season is over officially for our team, my former team, it's getting a little bit more normal, even though the recruiting part would be a big part of it. I miss the guys like crazy. I miss the coaches. We still talk a ton, but it's not the same. I miss the players, but it's certainly different.
Take us through the process a little bit. It was kind of weird to me, and you not bad or good, just weird. It was odd that with a month left in the season-ish, they announced you weren't going to come back, and then it was announced, and then you were going to stay on and coach, and then you weren't. I mean, take us through a little bit of that timeline.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you that it was odd. So I'll certainly agree with that one. I've said it publicly. Our athletic director, Kyle Brennan, and our president have been great. I root for both of them. I like both of them a lot. That doesn't mean I agree with how this process was handled. And in this business, college basketball coaching business, profession, unless somebody's cheating or abusing somebody, you usually don't get let go that early with that much season left. And certainly I was doing neither of those. And so it was a shock. It was a shock that it happened when it happened. And I've said this also. I know the business. I'm not angry, and I know I haven't won enough recently. And I'm okay with the decision being made. I'm not happy about it. I certainly wish I was still coaching. But when it happened was shocking. And so that day, the choice was given to me by Kyle in that meeting, in a meeting where I was, again, shocked and surprised and very emotional. And we actually practiced. I was actually fired at 11 a.m. on Sunday. we played Tuesday night against Northern Iowa, so Sunday was not an off day. Okay, so we had practice at 1:00, and I didn't tell anybody till after practice. I thought, the only way to have a chance to beat Northern Iowa, whether I coach or not, is to have at least one good practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it would obviously be a shock to the team and the players, surprising, and so I decided to wait till after practice. We had a good practice. And at the time I wanted to finish the season. I thought about it, talked to the players, of course they were behind it. And that's when we announced in the release, not we, the department announced in the release that I was let go and I would finish coaching the season. Monday, the next day, get with some more players, talk about it some more. And it was just odd. A fired coach with 3 weeks left in the season is an odd scenario. And so at that point, Monday afternoon, Monday evening, I decided it's probably less of a distraction. I think it probably gives our players a better chance to be successful if I'm not there answering questions. They're answering questions about what it's like to play for a coach who's been fired with 3 weeks left. Now, if it were a week, it's easy. And so that's kind of how that all went down. And that Monday night, we announced that I would not be coaching and Brian Jones would step in, and Brian did a great job.
Brian's a really outstanding coach, and you must have had a good practice, because the next day they took Northern Iowa, lost by 2 to Northern. They played them a heck of a game.
They did, and that's a credit to the players and the staff. Marcus Belcher, Rob Johnson, Tony Wills, John Paterski, my staff is, along with Brian Jones, of course, is awesome. And we did have a good practice. Spirits were good, energy was good. Of course, Monday I was not there, and they played great on that Tuesday against Northern Iowa, and had some ups and downs, but I thought really competed. Was very proud of the team and the group and the coaches.
I want to take you back the full scope of the time at Illinois State. Give us some of the highlights, some of the great memories, some of the things that you're super proud of.
Well, I mean, there's a ton of great memories, and they're not just games. And that's the part, of course, that the fans know and think about with any coach, and that's certainly understandable. And I know all former players and coaches will say these things. You miss the time on the bus. You'll miss the time in the hotel, the memories in the film room, the funny things that a coach says, and the players come back and make fun of you for saying it a couple of years later, or even if they're still there. Growing with players from Paris Lee to Tony Wills and Mikhail McIntosh and Deshaun Knights and Phil Faines and Antonio Reeves, just watching those guys grow up. I mean, it's the best part about coaching, Harry, and the two things I love the most about coaching. Number one is I love competition. Okay. And you compete in a lot of areas in life, but it's not the same as competitive sports where there's a winner and loser. There's a lot of pressure. I love that part. But the second part is certainly the relationships and helping guys grow. You could go to some basketball memories, of course, of beating top 25 teams, whether it was a Wichita State or a Dayton or a Creighton. The run I had my third year in 14-15, where Wichita State and Northern Iowa were both ranked in the top 12. And we beat Wichita State in a heck of a game. We play Northern Iowa. We're up big at half, and we just run out of gas. But that might have been my best team. So just that feel in that moment, that tournament, and then of course the special run we had in 16-17. Well, I can tell you probably my most quote unquote proud moment on the court. Winning the championship at Northern Iowa and finishing out the regular season was certainly very proud. But the atmosphere for that championship game in 2017, us versus Wichita State, two best teams, I could still remember introductions and just looking around, two teams that didn't like each other, two fan bases that didn't like each other, and just thinking, this is where we should be. Now, we didn't play well enough, and we got beat in that game. But just that, I love Arch Madness. I mean, and part of the reason I went to watch my team. Now, the biggest reason was to support my guys. But I love St. Louis in that tournament. And then the next year we followed up with another championship game appearance, lose the Final Four team in Loyola. So lots of great memories, but the ones I will remember most are the moments with the guys, the hard times, the fun times, the funny times, the road trips. Just that's what you remember most.
2017, then you go to the NIT and you guys win a game or two. I can't keep. I'm not good with math, but you had Central Florida or somebody like that at Redbird Arena, and I came up for that game. The place is just tons of people, super exciting. If you win, you're probably going to get Illinois at Redbird Arena in the next game.
Yeah,
I mean, like you talk about an environment and saying, well, this is where we belong. This is what we want to do. I mean, that atmosphere was electric that night as well.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a game with more electricity in Wichita State or Loyola here or there, Creighton back in the day, Dayton. We've had some good. Ole Miss came in, but that game, Harry, that Central Florida game, which we lost on the last second free throw, of course, with the chance to play Illinois at home to go to New York, was a great night and a terrible night. Of course, both wrapped in one. But passionate fan base for that game, and certainly great memories up until the last 2 seconds.
I talked to Dick Lutke the other day, the retiring broadcaster for Redbirds, the Redbird basketball program, and we talked about your press conference, or you came to the press conference, the Missouri Valley press conference, the day after they let you go, and then you did your coaches show that night. And I told him, I said, the two of you were amazing together. And it was so classy. I mean, the way you both handled both of those things, and you flipped the table on him and started asking him questions about his career. And he told me, he said, I will remember that coach's show the rest of my life as maybe my favorite one.
Well, Dick is a special person, not only special within Illinois State athletics, but just in general. And Dick well. He's such a genuine, kind-hearted man. And I had planned to interview him before I got let go, because it was the last coach's show before the tournament. And ended up being more of an emotional night where I did that. But, Dick deserves so much. He gave so many years and so many nights to this department, to do over, I think he said 1,000 basketball games and hundreds of football games. I will remember that night, because it was, and I went back and forth whether I wanted to go, even to the last hour. Last 30 minutes, I was talking to my wife, and I wanted to go, but I was very emotional all day, obviously. And my thing is kind of, Harry, like, it's my job, and you do your job. We tell your players, you got to fight through adversity, and you got to do the right thing, and you got to be able to stand up when you get knocked down. And that's, if you don't practice what you preach, what good are you as a coach or a teacher or a mentor? Not that my players were inspired by me doing my radio show, but it was just, hey, it's my show, it's my job. I'm gonna go, and it was a really neat night, a fun night, and an emotional night where I barely made it through and walked out, broke down. But it was fun to be on that with Dick one more time. That was special.
So you come to Arch Madness to root for your guys and talk to them in the locker room, I think before one of the games or something like that. I don't have your complete diary in front of me, but and then I saw you and we talked, and we ended up doing some radio together during one of the games. And I asked you that night, I said, who does this? And you said, I don't know, just crazy people, I guess. You are so connected, and for your guys, you just wanted to be in their corner.
It's really all it was. It wasn't my team, but it's still my team. Stayed in touch with a lot of the guys, but also kept distance, because I wanted them to be able to not think about any of the stuff. but would just text them before or after game every once in a while, certain guys. And I wanted to cheer them on. I didn't want to go to Redbird. I thought about going to the last game to go to the arena, but I didn't want any attention, and it was too emotional. So same thing. I kind of wrestled with that one up until the last day or two, to where I decided, I'm going to go. And I wanted to sit by myself. I didn't want to sit next to any fans. I didn't want anybody to talk to me really, other than some friends who came by, and just cheer the team on, quite frankly, and show support if it was helpful in any way. And like I said, I thought they really competed, and I did. I went before the first game. I went in the locker room early, like an hour, 45 minutes before the game, just to give them a hug, say good luck. And then the Friday, I just kind of stood outside the locker room when they came out. 30-minute mark, gave them 5, and walked back out, and then went back in after the last game and said my goodbyes to those guys.
Then we had some broadcast moments together. It was fun to have you tell us things that were going on and kind of scout out the game for us a little bit. It was enjoyable to work with you. Thoughts about what's next? I mean, obviously it's so fresh, it's so new, but initial thoughts, man. I want to jump right back into coaching, or I'd like some time to figure it out. I mean, and I know all of those things aren't just, you just get to wish them into being. I mean,
Right.
there have to be jobs and so forth, but is there a kind of, this is what I'm thinking?
Well, I didn't plan for it. And so all my thoughts are new once it happened. And of course, getting through the emotion of it. And you said it, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to get an assistant's job. It's hard to, not a head coaching job. I'm not even really looking for head coaching jobs, nor do I think I would probably be able to get certain ones that I would want. But it's very hard to get assistant's jobs. And depending on what's open, depending on who you know, depending on location, we're a team. It's my wife and I. It's not just me. Certainly, if there's a good job, a good coaching job, a good assistant job with a coach that I respect and does it the right way, that I would have a chance to get, I'll try. If not, as I always tell my wife, I'll figure it out. She doesn't like that answer usually, but I'll figure it out. My wife likes it here and has a really good job here, and there's until the coaching carousel begins and ends, you just don't know what options there are. It's not like a normal job where you could think, well, let me go try to work there, move to this place and see if I can get with that business. There's 350 schools. You don't know what options there are. You don't know what openings there are. And until you do, it's hard to really project and guess. But that's kind of my thoughts right now, Harry. I love coaching. I absolutely love it. Does not coaching and having a normal life sound appealing at times? Yeah, it does. Going to nieces and nephews' birthday parties, being able to take weekends off and take my wife on vacation, other than only these 2 weeks in May and this 1 week in August. That'd be nice. But I do love coaching.
Does Dan Muller have an agent? Do coaches have agents? Is that how it works?
A lot of coaches have agents. I don't have an agent. Some assistants have agents. Most head coaches have agents. I do not have an agent.
I'm just curious about how that works. You and I have talked about this before, but and I talked to Darren DeVries about this over the weekend as well, about your goal to promote your assistants. A number of your guys have gone on to be head coaches other places, and I know that was really on your mind. And I heard Gary Rima was telling me the other day about how Greg McDermott was told by his athletic director at one point when he was at Northern. He said, listen, somebody's going to come hire you away from us. Get somebody ready to take over. And of course, that guy was, Ben Jacobson. And I talked to Darren the other day. I said, you concerned about some of your guys leaving? And he said, I don't want them to, but I hope they do. That's my job, is to help them. And I know you saw that as a really important part of your job.
I did. I was fortunate. I had really good assistants. I was unfortunate because I had a lot of really good assistants. And, if you look at teams in our league, Northern Iowa, their staff's been together I mean, they've had one guy move in the last, I think, 8-9 years.
Mm.
Bradley has had no movement since Brian's gotten there. Of course, Darren's had no movement. No, that's not true. He had a little movement this year. It's had a little bit, and so Porter had a little bit. But I've been lucky. I've got 4 former assistants who are current Division I head coaches. And I'm not saying they're mine. I'm just saying I've had guys that are really good. I've helped them. I think I've had 8. This might be right or wrong. 7 or 8 assistants who have gone on to, as I like to say, double their salary at a high major school, and it was hard because when there's a reason you're good. You have a good program, and the reason is people. That's it. So when you have really good people, and then you lose really good people, it can be hard to replace those guys. And so, very happy. I did work really hard at trying to help guys. Always didn't matter if they were with me for 2 months or 2 years. If they felt they had an opportunity to help their family, I was all for it. And when I first became a head coach, Harry, I didn't think that way. I thought, hey, you got to be with me for 2 or 3 years, make that commitment. But I learned my first year, literally, that's stupid. You know, I'm going to get, because a lot of coaches will say, hey, promise me to be here 2 years. You know, I don't ask coaches that. Look, if you come here 1 year, you can double your money, you can help your family, I'm going to help you. So we've had a lot of really good guys, and I've got a great staff right now that obviously will be moving on somewhere else, and not in a way that certainly we wish would have happened, but in a way where these guys are high-level assistants and really good men, and hopefully I can help them find something, or they can find something next year.
Coach Yak told me that you called John Beeline for him, and at first Beeline didn't want to hire him, and then I don't know, different things transpired, and he ended up calling him back, and they had conversation, and the rest is history, as they say, and that just spoke to me so much that you're out, you know, not only just saying, hey, I'm going to help you get better, I'm going to, you know, put in a good word, like you were actively helping the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I would always say, if there's something you are interested in, let me know. But with Luke Yaklich, you know, I always have end of year reviews with all my staff, and one of the questions I have them answer is always, what would you like your next step to be in this profession? And Luke had been with me. I always forget how long staff's with me. Maybe 3 years. I can't remember. And he was my associate head coach, and heck of a coach. And I asked him, you know, what's next? What do you think will be next? I said, is there anything out there that you're interested in right now? And he said, well, I mean, Michigan would be awesome. I don't know anybody. I don't know how it works. I said, well, I'll call Beeline for you if you want me to. So I called John, and I didn't know him, but I had his number. I knew him. I met him. And I had gotten DeAndre Haynes had joined my staff just a month or 2 months earlier. So I called John and left him a message and just said, hey, listen, I know you got a couple openings. Luke Yaklich, I said, look, I got another guy, DeAndre Haynes, who is really good also. I don't know if he's ready for you or not, but he's really good also. And he did. Beeline said he wasn't interested, and, of course, circled back around. And then we were mid to late July, and he took both of them. I was like, hey, I saw him on the road recruiting. We were recruiting in July. Luke had been with me for 3 years. Dre had been with me for 3 months. And I really liked him, and he's at Marquette right now. DeAndre is at Marquette right now, and a heck of a coach also. And I go up to Beeline. I say, "Hey, listen, I know you interviewed both my guys." I said, "But can you make a decision? Like, recruiting's almost over. If I'm gonna lose 1 or 2 assistants, you know, it'd be nice to know." And he notoriously takes time hiring guys. And sure enough, he took them both. So happy for him. And then they go to Final Four. So obviously a great step up, and they're both great coaches advancing in their careers.
Wow. So do you know the new Illinois State coach, Ryan Peden?
I do. I know pretty well, actually. Ryan's a great dude.
What else can you tell us about him?
You want to talk about him?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I got to know Petey just on the road, talking ball. Really like him a lot. He's handled, if I'm not mistaken, I'm almost positive, he's handled Ohio State's offense recently and for the last X number of years. So we would talk offense on the road a little bit, and stay in touch, and I'm happy for him. I talked to him the day he got hired, and excited for him, and told him how great of a job this is, and I'll be rooting for him once he takes the helms.
Before we let you go, you and I were talking before we started this. You're going to be on Chicago radio this weekend, breaking down the selections and all of that. So when you're a big famous ESPN guy, you're going to remember I gave you your start in media, right?
Yeah, well, that first part won't happen, but I will always remember you, Harry, for all the wonderful things you have done, including being gracious on radio this past weekend, which I did really enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot.
That was a ton of fun. So tell us what you're doing on the Score this weekend.
Yeah, I got invited. It's pretty cool. I'll be co-hosting Selection Sunday. At least that's the plans right now. Things can always change in life, but I'll be on the Score up in Chicago from 5 to 8, kind of helping break down the selection show and the big dance, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we won't keep you, but Dan, thanks so much for your time today and just over the years. I've super appreciated who you are and the way you passionately love you. It comes out in this conversation, but you passionately care about those people around you, and I've watched you, figuratively bleed with them and celebrate with them, and it's such a privilege for a guy like me to be able to be around and see guys like you do what you do. And so super appreciate your time today and the many years that I've watched you do this stuff, and look forward to many more at the next location. I'll be following close.
Thanks, Harry. Appreciate it.
That's Dan Muller, our good friend, former head coach of the Illinois State Redbirds. You've been watching and listening to the Valley Hoops Insider podcast, part of the Valley Hoops Insider website. Remember, since you've been there, make it a better place. We'll see you again real soon.